Isbel with the UT Martin golf team on with us here on this beautiful Monday afternoon. Here at the Zaxby's in Martin, Tennessee. Davis Gregory here with me, Chris Brinkley. And Dax, thanks so much for joining us. Your first appearance on the show. We tried to get you in a couple weeks ago. It's all right. We got, you're a very popular man around campus.
Hey, glad to be here today.
We had to get you in, though. Because, again, we need some of those golf tips. Winner of the OVC Golfer of the Week award twice this season. Sophomore year for you, correct?
Yes, sir.
So what has been the biggest change for you from last year to this year? We talked to Coach Swafford and said so much about just your mental game. But what else along with that, and how did you make that change mentally, that jump from last year to this year?
Man, it's been a lot of mental work this season, and I would say I'm just like a really smart guy, but it's really not the case. So it's been – the yardage book is chock full of some scripture and some verses that really help, and I feel like the Lord's teaching me some cool things on the course. So it's been fun.
Can you give us examples?
That's
really interesting.
Yeah, Matthew 6:33 and 34 has been huge. It says, "Seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all else will be added to you. And then do not be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow will be anxious about itself. Sufficient for the day is its own trouble." So it just keeps me kind of where my feet are. And so that's something me and Coach talk about a lot. And it's helped. It's helped a lot.
Just staying where your feet are.
Yeah,
love that.
it's huge.
Love that. So you get the individual title SIUE. You all win at the Grover Page Classic. So far, what's this rhythm that y'all are building up? Multiple top 5 finishes. Y'all are playing well as a group, and this looks to really carry on into the spring. I know you all have one more event next week at Kennesaw State down there, and that one will close out your fall schedule. So what's this momentum like that y'all are building up right now to carry on into that spring year?
Man, it's funny you use momentum. I think it goes back to when we just sat down in Muscle Shoals in that hotel room and we're like, okay, this is the standard. This is who we want to be. And we're trying to build a culture that's really not dependent on momentum. So we're trying to think at a very high level no matter what the case is, and that's in practice and that's day to day. And I think when you have 9 guys that are bought in and pulling in the same direction, it doesn't really matter what the momentum's like. You choose to think the way that you want to think, and that builds momentum kind of as a byproduct.
Right, absolutely. So when Coach talked about the first episode he was on about when you all left the OVC Championships last year, one of the longest bus rides he's ever been a part of, but one of the best for so many reasons. For you as a player, just tell us about your perspective on that ride.
I don't know. It was interesting because that was my first year, my first kind of taste of what conference was like. So I think the older guys were feeling it a little more. I was obviously gutted and it was tough, but it was a lot of motivation to get back and be like, okay, these are the things that I got a little bit exposed, and my mental game is not really as strong as I thought it was. Let's go back and let's get to work. And got to spend some time with some really good players and some really good mentors over the summer, and they're like, hey, here's some things that you can do to kind of mentally get back in the right headspace. And so that's what the focus was over the summer. It wasn't necessarily let's swing it better, putt it better, chip it better. It was how can we think at a really high level.
You carry that over into life?
Absolutely. I think 1 Timothy 4:8 is something along the lines of physical training has some value, but godliness has value for all things in this life and the next. And I think the Lord really uses golf to teach me a lot of things that apply off the golf course. And so that's just been cool to walk with him. It's fun how he does that.
And the patience level as well. I know that applies to real life as well.
Yeah.
So I think we talked to Coach during the Skyhawk Caravan early on in the year. He said that you have the longest drive. What's your drive number? How far can you take it?
It's close. There's a lot of guys on the team. Our freshman Grant can nuke it, and Jacob's getting pretty fast too. I think if I catch one, it's probably 310 in the air.
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
That's smash. So is that so much of like weight training, or is that just your technique in the swing?
That's Chris, our strength guy. He's done a lot.
What's your favorite club?
The putter.
Really?
That's what matters. Yes, absolutely.
What do you use?
I got a Scotty Cameron.
Okay.
It's like, it's a big mallet. I love it. It looks like a spaceship. But
we were talking about holes in one and during the break. How many have you hit in your life?
1.5, and that's a terrible number. But
how's that possible?
Did it go in and then pop back out?
No.
Is that what it
so
was?
I got one when I was like 14, and that one counts. And like there were people there. And then in practice, by myself at Fulton, I was playing an up tee because I was doing a drill where I had to like birdie my way back, and I was like the third hole, so I was only on like the second tee box back, and I holed it by myself, not even from the tips. It was 120, and it went in first shot, 100%, like legit.
What hole was that? I know Fulton. What hole was that?
I think it was number 4.
Okay.
That uphill par 4?
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice.
But you can't see it go in, so
that
it's
means
just
you hit it over the ducks.
I did.
Or the geese. There's
Yes,
always
sir.
ducks and geese there.
Ducks, potato. I mean,
Well, no, it's It's the ultimate distraction is to have to hit over a flock of geese.
Exactly. It's good mental training.
There it is. For you, what has been, I guess, you talked about the mental game and how much that you've jumped in that regard, but just your game in general in golf, the short game, driving, your approach shots, where has that biggest improvement come from?
Probably the putting. I think
Putting.
that's really what matters, and that's what we focus on a lot just as a team. We focus on that short game because you can hit it really hard, but you got to get the ball in the hole at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, putt for the dough. Isn't that what?
Exactly.
I can't remember what movie that.
I don't know.
Well,
Drive for show, putt for dough.
putt for dough.
Yeah.
There it is.
That's it,
I don't
yeah.
know what movie that's from, but we're gonna get killed on that.
But I mean, that's really how you score well. And you, again, I've said this before with your coach, is you can play well and not score well. You can also score well and not play well. I don't know if that's oversimplifying it, but it's just the mentality of your approach shots and your ability to putt.
Yeah.
You should never three-putt.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. And want to talk about before we let you go, just your work with FCA as well. I know you're pretty active with that, and Jody Duncan, who's here too, also. I think is Jody the FCA like president or whatever. I
Yeah,
don't know.
she's our sponsor, I guess is probably the technical
sponsor
term.
coordinator. So
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that.
No, it's been really cool, and the Lord's kind of used golf in some cool ways this semester. Just on the team, we talk about that standard. Number 1 on there is seek Jesus first, and that's been really cool to see the guys buy into, and it shape our culture. And then FCA is something that is really important to me personally. That community is something that I'm very, very grateful for, and so it's cool to invest in it when I can. And Jody's really good to let me help out. So.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk Podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
Coach Wilson out this week, but hey, we've got some more student athletes on. Kayla, Carrell, Olivia, Saunders joined the program. Thanks so much for coming on with us today.
Thank you for having us.
Hey, Kayla's the veteran, so Olivia, did she give you any tips?
No.
Nothing?
No.
I flew in blind. It's her turn.
Okay,
I'm
all
here.
right. And I guess we'll just start out with this past weekend. A split with Western Illinois. You all get the win on Saturday, 4-1. But after Friday, tough one there. What was the mindset change after that, and what did Coach say to you all?
Going into Western Illinois, I think we were confident, but I think that as a team we kind of overlooked them. And just going back to what Coach Jacqueline was saying, our whole preseason was a really, really tough preseason. And I think that just going off of last season, to now, how we were winning, how we won regular season conference, I think that we have a target on our back, but then with our preseason being so hard and our confidence kind of getting down, anytime that we were getting anytime another team is getting balls up or anything, we kind of take a step back. And Jacqueline kind of called us out on that. And I think that all of us had to take a hard look in the mirror and realize what it is that we can do to change. And I think that is what flipped Friday to Saturday.
And so, again, big win there against Western Illinois, 4-1. Now, tomorrow, Tennessee State beat them earlier in the season. And what's the game plan for them? I mean, obviously got the win against them. Was 4-1? I think it was in 4 sets or 3-1. Sorry. Listen, I'm new to volleyball. I'm trying to get adjusted to everything. So 3-1 against them. What was, I guess, do you try to do the same thing as last time, or does Coach Wilson have just a different game plan for you all whenever you play a team the second time?
I think when we played them the first time, we relied heavily on our defense and our blocking, and I think going into tomorrow, it's going to be the same thing. Obviously, when you play a team again, both sides are going to make adjustments, but if we can stay together and play very strong defense, I think we'll be fine.
Do you go back and watch the first time you played them?
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. I personally, I know we both do, and our other third roommate, we usually rewatch every single game and kind of talk about it together, so that's definitely something we'll do again.
Yeah.
So, Olivia, we'll start out with you with some of these personal questions. So you were hurt last year, but what's the biggest change in your game from this year to prior years that you've played?
I think this year, just this year, just in general, because this is my last year, being able to take more things on my shoulders. I don't have any, this is my last year that I'm going to be playing collegiate volleyball. So, air any, like just being able to put that on my back and what I can do to better the team, if that makes any sense. And I think that should be everybody's mentality anyway, but I think just now more so than ever, I'm like realizing, you know?
Right.
Did being hurt contribute to that when you sit back and have to watch?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, because I wasn't able to practice, I wasn't able to do anything in indoor last season. So being able to be on the sidelines and watch it from a different perspective has definitely helped me now that I am on the court.
And Kayla, for you playing libero this year, which is different, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
A little bit. Okay, so a little bit different than years before. What's the adjustment that you've made coming into that position that's helped you succeed this year?
Honestly, when Coach Jacqueline came to me about it, it had nothing to do with skill. She looked at me and was like, I need you to bring the energy. I need you to bring the fun. Like, that is your main priority, and everything else will follow. And it's kind of just happened exactly how she said. And so each game I come into it tactically, obviously, I'm a defensive player. I want to touch every ball, but I want to make sure that when I step on the floor, like, I'm elevating the people around me. And so that's kind of been the biggest, like, mindset change, I think.
Is it a fun position to play?
It is a fun position. Yeah. We have fun. We go in and out.
Her reaction
a little bit.
Yeah.
That was very, very
That was a very enthusiastic and
You
convincing.
sold it well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we talked about it earlier, Tennessee State tomorrow. I mean, what is the routine for a weekday game compared to just playing on a Friday, Saturday, or Thursday, Friday?
It gets a bit, not difficult, but because we do have 3 games this week technically with this weekend, like normally when it's just a Friday, Saturday game, like we're able to prepare for the whole week on whatever team it is that we're playing that weekend. Obviously we can't do that this year because we have, or not this year, this week, sorry, because we have TSU, but it's just like focusing on what it is that we have upcoming. And then we play TSU. We know it's also good that we have already played them, so we have prior knowledge to what it is that we are expecting. So going in, doing that, and then just watching film on SIUE for this weekend, and then going into practice, and then.
I think with that, our biggest thing is also like one game at a time.
Right.
Like, I know, like, we're thinking like we have a game Friday and Saturday, but we have to win tomorrow.
Right.
As soon as we step on the floor, like, that's our first goal, is to win that first set and go from there. And so I think when you do have multiple games in a week, just really staying, like, being present. We always talk about being forward focused, but also being present of what game is in front of us first.
And that Friday, Saturday turnaround is so fast. Yeah, it's almost as like a long break in the middle that includes sleep and breakfast.
Yes.
What is it like, especially if you win or if you lose, you know you're going to be right back out there against the same opponent in 14 hours?
I think it's kind of fun, personally, just because it is, like, there's not much that you can change from one day to another. You know, like, I feel like, I mean, I say that, and, like, we completely changed on Friday to Saturday. But, like, technique-wise, there's really not much that they're going to do. Like, if they're running plays, they're not going to be running any different plays. It's not like they're going to learn something overnight. They don't have any practice. They don't have anything in between those. So I think that, like, for Friday, for example, we knew what we were doing wrong, and so we knew what we needed to fix come Saturday, and we did that. And so that's what makes it fun. Like, whereas if we were to play Friday, Sunday, that's just more time for, like, changes to happen. So I kind of like it just because it is a quick turnaround. We knew what it is that we needed to fix, and we did fix it instantly.
Yeah.
I want to go into more of the, I guess, fun questions. I remember we had Kayla on, so we had to get the coach stuff out of the way, but then there were some softballs. So that's kind of the format that we go with, Olivia,
Okay.
just letting you know for
Okay.
future reference. So favorite Coach Wilson or Coach No saying that you can say on the radio?
I think they both know what it's going
They
to be.
both know what it is, but I
We
don't
might
know if
not
they
hear
can
it.
say it. Can you say it, yes or no?
No.
We'll keep that one.
Okay, all right. You keep that one, and we'll just move on to the next
That
one.
was such a great diplomatic answer.
Both of you all
We know, but
recognized
we'll
the
keep
question
that
at the
one.
same time, and then we're like, yeah, no, we
You
can't
put it in
say
a
this.
time capsule, and we'll dig it up in 10 years.
Yeah.
and
Yes,
reveal it.
perfect.
Yeah.
And then we won't put it on the radio.
Right.
So or we'll have a delay with it. We'll have a
Right,
delay.
right.
Or we just won't be at Zaxby's when it happens so the public doesn't hear it. So that would get me, I guess, to my next one. So Haley has the alter ego of Hank. We learned
Yes.
that. We talked about that, I think, a little bit your first time on. So if you did have a name for your alter ego, what would it be?
Oh.
These are supposed to be easy questions. Look at them.
They are easy questions.
I don't know. In practice, she likes to call me a menace to society. Like, just the things I'm doing in practice. Just
No, Kayla will like sometimes be like a little gremlin. Like she's like a small little pea running around everywhere. I can't see her because of our height difference. She'll be one place and I'm looking and I just.
Yeah.
And she's just gone to the other
Yeah.
place. Okay, so
Like a gremlin.
Gremlin K,
oh my
something
god,
like
that's
that.
so bad.
Something like that.
So bad.
Well, I guess you got to come up with something for her too.
I don't even know. I don't know.
Olivia, do you have something?
No.
Come on.
I mean, in practice, you're just. She likes to go like this.
Oh,
give a
okay.
little finger point.
Do
If
the
you-
Dikembe Mutombo?
If you're in her way, yeah,
Okay.
I give her a little finger point. So it'd have to be something like intimidating. I would go with that. But I don't know what would really capture.
So we have intimidating and then Gremlin K. Okay.
Gremlin.
Gremlin.
My
Gremlin,
Grammy.
thank you.
Okay, I guess we'll just go with that. Well, that kind of wraps up everything else. Chris, you got anything?
No, that was great.
All right, fantastic. Well, maybe we'll get to hear about Coach No and Coach Wilson's favorite sayings later, maybe sometime off the air.
Y'all should ask them
That's
about that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
You should ask them that.
You know what? Next time I see her, I'm going to ask her. What do you think the players think is like their favorite saying that you have?
She'll laugh.
She will? Okay.
Yeah,
All right,
same
good.
response.
So
Good.
in other words, everyone knows what it is except
Everyone
for
knows
Davis
what it
and
is,
me.
but
Yes.
you can't say it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
So there's a general consensus
Yeah.
on what it is. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, hey, girls, thanks so much for coming on, filling in for Coach today. Great job
course.
Yeah,
as
of
well.
course. Thank you for having us.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk Podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
Coach Tony's up with us. Coach Henderson, not here, but you're filling in for right now. And cross country, both teams get a top 10 finish. Men go and they finish in 5th place, and the women, they get 8th place, their highest finish on the season. How are you and Coach Henderson just? What did you all see from them in their performances? How proud are you all just for? I mean, from my eyes, I feel like that's a pretty good performance, especially right before conference.
Yeah, it was a good performance. They raced a lot of people within the conference. I think there were 6 or 7 teams within our conference that were racing there. So a big part of it was, hey, let's go race these people. Let's go, if you're running behind someone, like look ahead to the next uniform, look ahead to the next conference opponent. And, especially for the girls racing their first 6K, all the other races leading up to it have been 5K, and it's enough of a jump to kind of change their approach and change their tactics going into it. It's only another 4 minutes or so of running, but you can't go out as fast. You have to kind of monitor how things are going. So I think a big part for a lot of them, with the girls kind of learning a lot of the different aspects of 6K from last year to this year, and having a decently, I think 3 underclassmen for the girls, and same thing with the guys. Still learning 8Ks and competing against just, some good teams in our conference. Seeing how we stack up against them right now. SEMO had a really good day. They beat us by a couple points. I think that's, some of those teams that we're trying to aim to go beat. Southern Indiana had a really good day. They're definitely one of the stronger teams in our conference, and seeing how some of our top guys stacked up with some of their top guys, and knowing that hey, we're in it, and guys and girls, that we just need that good day.
Right.
We need multiple people to have their good day. And I think with their training and what they've been racing and I think it's there. There's, as great as it would have been for them to all run fantastic, they had about 80% of a very good race, and I'd rather save that for 2 weeks rather than feel amazing and then not feel great, or know that I had this good race right before conference and instead of right at conference.
I want to ask you a very basic question that I'm afraid I don't know the answer to, and I'm probably going to look not very intelligent by asking you this question. I don't know if you know the answer to it, but if you're running a 5K or a 6K and you're trying to pace yourself, how do you know where you are in the 5K or 6K? How do you know you're 4K in with 2K to go? when you're running alone and practicing, and also when you're in competition?
Most of the courses will be marked out pretty well.
How often are they marked, though?
It depends on the course.
Really?
This one was marked out very well. There was a 1K split, or there's a 1K marker, a 1 mile marker, a 2K split, a 2 mile marker, a 3K split, 4K,
Okay.
5K. But oftentimes they're really just, hey, the mile's here and a 5K's here.
Yeah.
So
That would make it tougher, right?
yeah. So it really just kind of goes back to training of, we try to do more volume than what our race distance is. So for the 6K, it's a little less than 4 miles, so we'll try to run 5 miles in workouts. And
how do you know when you're practicing? Are you wearing something that?
We do a lot of workouts at Martin Rec, and I just loop out a mile.
Gotcha.
And they have their watches, and it accurately, shows what a mile is. And sometimes we're arguing about whether mine's a mile or theirs is a mile. And, some people are like, oh, well, mine's, right on, or mine's over, or mine's short. And it's like, let's just go off mine.
Is it illegal to wear an electronic device in competition?
No, they can wear it.
Okay.
So you can get your steps in while
Yeah.
competing.
Yeah.
You're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. That's
yeah.
great.
So a lot of people, some people aren't huge fans of wearing watches when they race, especially like a GPS watch that shows you your pace, shows you how far, how long you've been running, as far as like, oh, I only have a mile to go, or oh, I'm running this pace. Because a lot of times it'll psych them out, whether it's the first mile and they're going too fast, or the last mile and they may have fallen off and like, oh, well, I'm running this pace already. Like, my race is shot. Like, I can't, what can I kind of do? So a lot of people will take their watches off in race, and I'm a big fan of that. I think it helps that when you look at a watch, you're basing things off of yourself and what you're trying to do instead of, oh, hey, I got to go beat that guy in front of me.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So,
You're checking your heart rate just in the middle of the race. Would you? So does anyone race with their watches on?
A couple people do, and part of that is because there's a website, Strava, that they upload all their runs to. So they track it that way. They track their mileage. They track their intensities that way, and so a lot of them will do that and just run with it on. I've heard a couple people will just cover their watch so they don't look at it, but they still get the info, which I think is fine. Like, I would rather prefer that than
looking down and checking your heart rate just in the middle of
or
a race
or you sometimes you'll see videos of like someone who is sprinting past someone at the finish, and they stop their watch right at the line and they get beat by the guy who runs through it.
I can watch those videos.
Are those videos out there?
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Oh, we gotta find that.
There's a couple where you see them and you're like, what? It's like the end of a half marathon or end of a road 10K or end of a 5K, and you see someone stop their watch and instead of like the guy who's racing.
Their focus is definitely in the wrong place.
Yeah. So it could be a distraction as well. I want to talk about the women's team here before we let you go. Maggie sets a PR. What have you seen from her? Also, Brooke raced well, too. What are some of the strengths that they have right now that are going to carry you all into conference?
Brooke's experience coming here as a grad transfer has been phenomenal. Having the leadership to be able to take a lot of the girls under her wing and, even as a newcomer, give them a lot of advice, especially with one of our freshmen, Violet. Like, she's really kind of taken under her wing and really has given her a lot of like just training advice, school advice, on top of the running. And her back was a little bit tight, and it kind of, took away from her race a little bit. And she still ran well, but I know there's a lot more there. And Maggie has made a huge step forward, especially being a mid-distance runner in track. She isn't very fond of 5Ks or 6Ks, but she enjoys them, and she's running really well. She's in really good shape, and it has carried over a lot. I'm still trying to get her to be tired and a bit dead during the race. And that's, again, like the whole understanding the distance, understanding the race, year in and year out, getting better at knowing how to race a 6K, knowing how to race a 5K. Cross country is very different than track. Like, there's so many different variances of courses and competition and the weather. All of it just plays a huge factor. So trying to make sure that she is still pushing and not settling as much as she kind of is. Like, it's always a process with a lot of people on the team of just, hey, like you have more, and that's
Right, and
that's me as a
push
coach
it.
saying like I know you can do more.
Right.
Like I want you to do more. It's there, and so trying to just balance that. But it's been
Well, it's actually a compliment. You're seeing something in them they don't see in themselves.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
and it's just trying to pull that confidence out, and it's a big thing, and I know she can do it. I know a lot of girls can do it, and it's just getting it on that right day.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk Podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
Welcome back to the Skyhawk Sports Talk podcast here on the Skyhawk Sports Network. Now joining the program, head coach of the UTM Martin soccer team, Mike Varga. And Coach, we've missed you the past couple weeks, but glad to have you back.
Yeah, I've been driving a U-Haul. So, yeah, it's good to not be driving a U-Haul today.
So there you go. There you go. So currently tied for 5th place and only 2 matches left in this season. Crazy to see how fast this season has flown by. Top 8 going to advance to the OVC tournament, and this past week playing 2 of the top teams, Southern Indiana, Tennessee Tech. Just a recap on those 2 games and what you saw from your squad.
Yeah, Tennessee Tech, I thought we played pretty well in the first half, going to halftime 0-0. We gave up a penalty on a bit of a sloppy foul, and they scored. They have they took it very well. We put our heads down for a few minutes, but then we bounced back and were able to score 2, up 2-1 with about 15 minutes left, and gave away a goal that we'd like to have back, and then they found a way to counterattack and get in and score the third with a minute left. So very, very, very much a punch in the gut. But we regrouped and came back, and then we get to Eastern Illinois, or not Eastern Illinois, we get to Southern Indiana, and tough conditions. So it was windy, and we really needed to score a second goal in the first half to go up 2 goals. Izzy scored the nice goal early, and we just couldn't find the second, and then played against them and the wind in our face in the second half and created some problems.
And had to deal with the rain, too, coming in early in that first half and then making the field wet. I'm sure that caused some issues as well, too. Hey, SIUE here this Thursday and then SEMO on Sunday. But, I mean, I want to talk about first the freshmen's growth, these newcomers. I mean, how have you seen them grow from just day one of training up until now? Because they've gotten a ton of experience throughout these matches, throughout these games. And what have you seen from them as they've improved throughout this season?
Yeah, I think they've grown in confidence. They've grown in – I think a lot of times freshmen come in and they're afraid to look bad in front of their teammates. They're afraid to make mistakes. They don't – and this was different because I didn't get to know them at all during the recruiting process. So – They're feeling out what's the coach like? Is he going to get mad at me? Is he if I make a mistake, do I get pulled right away? And so I think they've grown in. I expect them to make mistakes. It's how they respond to making a mistake, and also where we're going to make the mistakes. We want to be safe in the back. And then we have some players that. They're very creative and have some pace up top, and I want them to do their thing. So I think giving them a license to be yourself, attack the goal, I think they've enjoyed that, and they've flourished.
You've said the word twice in that answer, the word afraid. If you're playing from a fear-based point, it's never a good thing. So as a coach, you're giving them, I guess, the freedom to make mistakes.
Oh, 100%. I told them I expect mistakes. I've never seen a perfect game. Mm-hmm. And it's even when I go recruiting, I want to see mistakes with players, and I want to see how they respond. Do they point at their teammates? Do they decide they're not going to work for the next day? If you lose the ball, you should become the hardest working player to win it back. And that's the non-negotiable for me that I tell them from day one is you're going to work. You're going to make mistakes. If you make a mistake, you work to get the ball back. You work to make up for it. So it's how you respond, not the mistake itself.
And Thursday being senior night, also youth soccer appreciation night as well. And I think a little birdie told me it's code orange as well. So everyone come out to the match on Thursday. Wear your orange to the game as well. Going to be a fun atmosphere. But I want to talk about youth soccer appreciation night, what that is and what's going to go on.
Well, we did a clinic for the recreation kids when I first got here. We did it with the players, and I thought it went over very well. And we just want to incorporate our program into the area and see if we could do some more clinics. And we want to show them that, there's a high-level soccer that's being played here in Martin, and we'd love to have them come out and take a look. It's frustrating for me at times when, it's when you talk to recruits and you talk about, well, what level do you think you can play at? Well, you can go see a pretty good level right here.
Oh yeah.
And you might as well go watch some games, and we're not charging anything.
Exactly.
So come on out.
And you got some of the top players around the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't think that some of the youth realize that, or their coaches. I mean, I encourage youth soccer has certainly grown in the past few years, but I think you're right. We should have higher attendance and better attendance from our youth programs and their coaches and those teams. That's a good point.
Well, I think part of that is just we need to get more involved with them too.
Yeah,
and I think we'll be doing that.
Yep. And your seniors, Katie and Olivia, I mean, Katie's been here for a while. Olivia, her first season. I mean, just talk about what they've meant to the team this season and just the program.
Yeah, well, Olivia in her first year has come in and coming from another university and all the way from Sweden and has been she's just really incorporated herself into the team and been wonderful. There's not I don't know what I could say about Katie other than she's one of the best human beings on this planet. She's one of the best leaders I've ever coached. She's an incredible player that will do and play wherever she's asked, and she'll do it without any hesitation. And she is the one that she is a leader by example, and if something needs done, if there's a ball that needs found, she will be the first one to go look for it. And she's an incredible person and a great player, and hopefully we can get a good turnout to come and send her off.
I don't know if I've ever heard a coach give that kind of praise to a player. That's impressive.
Well, I'll tell you what, I started to talk to her when I first got the job here over a couple phone calls, and I could already tell she was pretty special, and yeah, she's one of the best.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk Podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
Mom's coming down. I haven't seen her.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's coming down for the game this weekend.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Well, good. Now that you're employed, make sure you take her out.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is.
I'm going to ask her and be like, did he make you buy dinner?
I don't think my son has ever bought me.
Can you take me to Walmart?
Has Ty ever paid for your bill?
You know he has, but then he'll say, hey, can you Venmo me? And I'm like, sure. Sure.
We're back here on the Skyhawk Sports Network here on the Skyhawk Sports Talk podcast. Coach Simpson joining the program here for our final segment of the show. Homecoming week, one of your favorite weeks, Coach, as UT Martin will host Charleston Southern. And want to go back from a week before. You've had a moment to watch the film from Eastern Illinois. Mm-hmm. And what stuck out to you? Who stuck out to you whenever you turned on the tape?
You know, golly, it seems like so long ago now. You know, obviously not a very clean game. You know, 11 penalties, 4 turnovers. You know, they hurt us when we were in man coverage. They got after us, made some plays. We busted a coverage, and they got an easy throw. All right. With all that being said, you know, to keep competing, to have a mindset, to you know, play the next play type mentality. I can't remember if I said this last week, but there was 2 plays that I showed the team. You know, one was a fumble of a player who hadn't touched the ball very much, and you know, instead of just you know, being deflated, he's chasing the ball, recovers it. You see the defense just putting their helmets on, ready to come, you know, back on the field in case we didn't get it. No hesitation, no bad body language, no blaming. You know, let's go get the ball back. Let's get a stop right here. And then at the end of the game, you know, get the big stop and the 2-point conversion. You look on the sideline and you see, you know, D-Ray, who didn't play one play in the game. And, you know, there was a lot of excitement. There was a lot of, you know, now I think there's a fine line, and we got to be careful. That's something I'm talking about today. There can't be there's got to be satisfaction in the win, not just relief. Mm-hmm. Okay, and there's a fine line between doing that. And if you're just trying to win the game, then you're opening up yourself to – you're lowering the percentage of winning the game if you're just trying to get the win. No, you have to beat your opponent.
That's interesting.
You know, you have to beat the game, first and foremost. We didn't do that with 11 penalties and 4 turnovers. All right, but the more physically that you beat the opponent down and execute, okay, then you've given yourself a bigger opportunity to win than just your will to win. Okay, so those are different things we got to talk about today, because sometimes you can play too cautious and just what do we got to do to win, because that's all I'm going to do is the minimum, mentally and physically. Okay, and we can't do that. It's got to be it can't just be. Sometimes you can look at it and say, okay, let's just. Or Coach always talks about a next play mentality. Yeah, but there's still some repercussions from that bad last play that you just had. Yes, you got to turn the page, right? But we can't keep having bad plays. Eventually, it's going to catch up to you.
And Jay Rogers said after the game in the video that was posted on social media, challenge the guys going into the bye week.
Yeah.
That it's still a work week. Yeah. How did the bye week go for you all?
You know what? I was pleased. Now, on Thursday, I think there was 3 coaches and some student assistants left, okay? And I apologize to those seniors. They don't care about next year's recruiting. They care about the program, right? They're worried about right now. But it's part of the job, my job of running the program for the years to come. This is the only time that we get to do that. So, we try to be as strategic as we can do. But I enjoyed it. I got to spend a lot more time with the players myself. It was a lot of good on good, a lot of crossover stuff. So, I was pleased with the week, and hopefully the players come back in today and, after having 3 days off and, we're bouncing around and ready to go to work tonight.
And bye week, also an opportunity to get some guys healed up with some bumps and bruises. How much did this week help you guys recover and get ready to make this push?
I think that's, you don't know. You don't know. You speculate and you hope. Can Sam Franklin, will he be back at practice this week, closer to 100%? Well, Josh Hastings, those are 2 good players that we need back out on the field. Carson Evans, we tried to rest him a lot during the week. He's played a lot of football for us, and he's a tough player, and he pushes himself through it. The quarterback's taking some hits the last couple of weeks, so I'm hoping, now he got a lot of work. There was a lot of things we wanted to improve on, and he had a great attitude about it. But he needed these 3 or 4 days off of just from throwing, just mentally, because, he's locked in like we are as coaches, and you're playing mind games with yourself on a hourly and minute basis throughout the week of what if I get this, what if this happens, what if this happens, and then you're going to practice and execute it. So it's hard to turn your brain off, throughout the week, especially at the quarterback position. So hopefully looking forward to getting Kincaid back today and that he's taking some strides.
Coach, one of the things I was thinking about the success we've had in this program, obviously you and the longevity and how once you're out of place for a while, things just kind of seem to fall in place. Part of that longevity, though, with your team has been Bart.
Yeah.
And he mentioned injuries, but the head coach's relationship and the ability to communicate with the trainer, you two have been through a lot together.
No, that's, you know what, and that's probably something that that I know it. I realize that I probably don't tell Bart enough. We just kind of have a friendship and a working relationship. You're right, but
you probably make eye contact with each other and know what the other one's thinking.
No, that's a good point. No, it's a good point because Bart has final say so on every player, how much they practice, if they're in or out of a game, if they're in and out of a practice. That's I'm not educated like that. Okay. That's not my responsibility, and I don't want to make those critical decisions when it comes to an injury of a player. So it's all on Bart. But he's a football guy. What I mean by that is he knows it's a physical sport. He knows that there are bumps and bruises. He knows that this happened. This guy will be back by Wednesday. This is my expectations for him. So he's very crucial. Plays a vital role. There's other things that he does too that aren't in his job description and that we laugh about. He's like I wish we had a mental health counselor, but Bart's kind of that right now. No, he does. Those kids come in that locker room or they come in the training room and maybe the human nature things kick up. Are we in full pads today? And Bart will say, well, you need to be in full pads. Did you see how you played last week? You need that. You need this
No,
work.
that's right.
And there's some things that he says that carry some weight with the players. And so I appreciate him very much.
And Charleston Southern this weekend, they come in after a win against Lindenwood. And when you look at them, I know everyone in sports, everyone likes to play the what-if game, and I'll play it here. If you take out Western Carolina and Clemson, their defense has been really, really good.
Yeah.
And so what have you seen from them whenever you've watched film and just thoughts on the schemes that they run?
No, you're right. Very multiple from 3 down to 4 down. very multiple in their coverages as far as they like to play a lot of one high safety look, whether they roll it to the field or to the boundary. They mix in about 20% of man coverage. Different pressures from the field, pressure from the boundary. So, so every play that you install this week, you're trying to run it versus all those different looks. Okay, so that's very time consuming. The next thing is that their style of play is a lot of they limit big plays. They don't except for those 2 games. Okay, but in the games that they've been in, the 3 games that they've won, there's not a lot of big pass plays. There's not a lot of big runs. Everything's kind of, they let you beat yourself and, get it to 3rd and 5 and get a stop and get off the field. So that's what's concerning about them is they limit big plays and make you earn, first downs and earn field position. And
starting with the offensive line going up against that defense, how are you all going to establish that line of scrimmage with your guys that have been really good this year in the top 5 in sacks allowed right now?
Right. I don't know if that's any different than any other week, but their D-line gets after it. They play with a lot of pride and a lot of efforts. Their linebackers come downhill and fit the runs, pretty physical, and spill it to the safety and who's rolling down the field, and that guy makes a lot of tackles. So I don't know if there's any more strategic this week than any other week, but it's a challenge every week. I mean, You're at home, right? It's homecoming. You're coming off an off week, and if you handle that correctly, then that should give you an advantage. Okay. If you don't, then you're in. It's a 4-quarter game, and you're playing a team that, you want to win back-to-back conference championships. So guess what? With that comes some responsibility. And the responsibility comes you're marked on people's calendar. It's a feather in their cap, right? Come in, play you close or beat you. No different than, I went and watched Bama play this week, right? In Arkansas, you don't want to get it to those it's 24-6, okay, a couple 3 and outs, a couple scores by Arkansas, and, it's a one, Arkansas has a chance to win the game last possession. Those are things you're trying to avoid, but you can't play just to avoid that, right? You got to play, going back to what I first started this conversation with, you got to play to your best, and then we'll tell you when that's enough.
Can you just watch a football game, or is your mind always in coach mode?
A little both. I can't, especially when you're sitting up in the stands, because you can see it like you're watching video.
Yeah.
Okay, because you can see the routes.
And to your credit, when you're coaching a game, you're never,
except
unless you have a kidney stone.
Yeah.
No, but no, you're always, it's so different.
No, it is. It's a lot more X's and O's when you're able to watch it from the press box. The emotions are out of it and stuff. And when you're on the sideline, you're doing the math in your head of seeing it from the ground level of exactly what people are telling you or what you're seeing from the sideline. So no, there's enjoyable when it's on television because you can't see the secondary, so you're just watching it like everybody else. All right, but every once in a while you get the remote and say, "Run that back," and you put the X's and O's together.
And because of your sons, you've watched middle school, youth league, middle school, high school, now college at the high level. You coach college. It's very interesting.
No, it is. And tomorrow night, the middle school's got I guess their semifinals. They play Inman tomorrow night over at Martin Middle School, so that'll be a big one. And then this weekend we are homecoming. Bama and Knoxville play in Tuscaloosa, so a lot of big games going on.
This is a big week for the Simpson family. It is. I want to go back to this Charleston Southern game with Kincaid. What are some things to get him going in this game?
Yeah, like I said, I don't know if this is the week that there's no easy throws this week. Mm-hmm. All right, and so that's you see that on tape. So he'll have to make some contested throws, and we'll have to give him a good plan with some good spacing. All right, and then when we do catch them in man, we got to win. You got to get open, and then you got to throw and catch. Like I said, this is not a week that you're just gonna, they're gonna play 9 yards off and just slip it out there to Tank or Rucker, and it's been several weeks since we've had those. So you'll have to earn your completions, this week.
So for homecoming, you said it's your favorite week. What's your favorite part about the homecoming week and the homecoming game?
Just I like the kids that come out and ask to talk to the team, the potential the homecoming king and queen. I think that's neat. They come out and solicit votes, and over the years, the players, I guess I kind of encouraged it years ago. Now it's kind of picked up. Somebody will come out, and I think some young lady brought him a bunch of wings the other day.
Nice.
So that's awesome.
That's earning the vote right off the bat.
But she certainly got asked, how many games have you been to this year?
Oh,
that's right.
okay. And then,
So that's a great question. And some of the young ladies do a great job with it. One time there was it wasn't a good response. She had been meaning to come, but she hadn't been able to get there yet. I don't know that she got many votes.
Well, everybody means to show up. That's what
I
it
want
is.
to defend him, though. When I first started doing games, there was a football coach at UTM, and I asked him about homecoming, and he said, "It's a distraction. Next question." Like he hated it. And then so I would ask a coach about homecoming, and usually duck. And Coach Simpson in 2006 said, "I love it. I can't wait for it." And, and every single year that has been the case.
Last Friday, on Friday a year ago, I worked it out in our practice plan to where we could get over the rope pool.
Yeah.
Okay, because we got guys in the program that they hear the students on campus talking about it, all right. But those freshmen and sophomores had no idea exactly what it was. Tug of war. Well, no, not really.
It's rope pool.
But
and you don't say tug of war.
Yeah.
You'll get in trouble for that.
But it was there's great tradition that comes with that, and so I wanted our players to see that. So and then of course you've got Pyramid on Friday night, and that's always a great tradition and stuff. So a lot of cool things. And as we've been trying to continue to build this program and stuff, I want the kids to feel special. I want the kids to feel a part of something. And
pride. It's pride.
No, it is. It's pride in your university. And so I want there to be others that are proud that we're ranked besides just the players in the Bob Carrell building. Okay, I want some of that to bleed over. But you've got to be accessible. You've got to be. I was laughing. Ty told me this weekend that they had 11 a.m. kickoff. All right. Guess what time their parade was? Of course, the players wasn't there. 5 a.m.
Ooh.
The parade was at 5 a.m.?
5 a.m. It's always 6 hours before the kickoff, apparently, is what he was told.
Yeah.
And I didn't see it, he said, but the sororities were lined up at 5 a.m. So bad deal, 11 a.m. kickoff. Huh?
So, hey, we're happy with a 2 p.m. kickoff. That's what it is. This question is going to take us over. Radio's about to wrap up, but we're going to have this question on the podcast side of things. And I got this generated this morning from my mind.
Let's see what you got.
So, did you see it?
No, I did
Okay,
not.
all right, here we go. If you had to make a rope pull team out of UTM football players, past or present, who would you go with?
Oh, you got to go with Mike Jasper, the head coach at Bethel.
Okay.
Large man, strong man. A lot of good leverage back there. Remember Joe Gibbs?
Yeah.
Played in the NFL for a short while. Large man, strong. So Joe Gibbs. Bannon, because he played here, right?
Right.
Are still coaches here now, and he kind of represent the Pikes a little bit too, as well as UTM football. All right. I think I would have to take Hattler though too, because
Really?
Well, because Hattler would have us. He would be a de facto puller, okay? Because whoever we were pulling against, he would know what their weaknesses were. So
that is true.
So we might have a little mischief going on of how we can get the win, right?
Yeah.
Whether it be psychologically, right, or maybe.
Oh, now he can talk some smack.
Maybe.
Oh, no. Oh.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk Podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.